Well, the war in Ukraine is also a war on infrastructure, including gas and oil pipelines serving the country. Ukraine has already been forced to cut gas service from hundreds of thousands of households. Russia has, however, spared its own transit pipelines. That is, the system for delivering its gas to Europe. But could those pipelines be coming into play? Well, two major transit pipelines cross Ukraine to Europe, Soyuz and Brotherhood. Now, gas volumes through both of them are now becoming a bit harder to pin down due to the war. And the Soyuz pipeline runs through the Luhansk region in eastern Ukraine, which is now occupied by Russian forces. Ukraine announced last week that it would suspend gas transit at one of the pipeline's hubs to stop service to that occupied area. Well, that stoppage affects at most 1/3 of the gas supply to Europe flowing via Ukraine. But Russian gas also flows from other directions. Europe only gets about 30% of its total gas via transit in Ukraine, and there are workarounds available. Well, for more on this, let's go to our correspondent in Kyiv, Fanny Fasher. Fanny, do we have any more clarity on exactly why there was this stoppage at this point in the pipeline that's going through Ukraine?
Well, the picture to Ukraine is quite clear. They say they are unable to control that very important transit pipeline because, as you just pointed out, it runs through the Luhansk region, which is part of the Donbas region, heavily embattled. Ukrainian and Russian forces there are fighting over every village, every road, basically every bridge, trying to decide this fight for either side to control. And while this is going on, Kyiv says we're going to cut off the natural gas supply that runs from Russia through Luhansk and basically supplies European households with gas. Now, that's been stopped last week. It really sent shockwaves across so many stakeholders in Europe because not many of them have diversified yet or have even begun diversifying, especially countries in southern Eastern Europe are mostly affected. While this is ongoing, however, there's another transit pipeline further up the north, which doesn't go through the Luhansk region. And in fact, Ukraine told Russia, just use that more, that transit pipeline. And Russia at first said technically that's nearly impossible. But in the course of the time, we are also seeing that more volumes are coming through that second transit pipeline up north. However, the bottom line here, as you see, that this war is not just raging on with regard to territories, but it's also war on commodities and how to put each other under pressure. Ukraine, Russia, and Russia on the other hand, European consumers.
And speaking of Russia putting pressure on Ukraine, the end users there, both for gas and for oil, it's been a challenge as Russia targets more basic infrastructure. At the same time, more people are returning to Kyiv and other parts of Western Ukraine, potentially using and needing those supplies. Give us an outlook on what the economic situation there is for people who are trying to consume these things, for example.
It's quite difficult on a very practical level if you are in need of gasoline. And my team actually was looking for a day yesterday to get gasoline so we can go from A to B. Now, people are returning to places, for example, like Bucha, which is close to Kyiv city, that's been heavily embattled just more than a month ago. There, only one gasoline station remains open. And if you get gas, it's probably about 10 liters per car. So obviously, black markets have sprung up to fill that gap, but it definitely remains a huge challenge right now. Resources, be it gasoline or natural gas, to help rebuild the parts of Ukraine from where Russian forces have withdrawn.
All right, DW correspondent Fanny Fasher in Kyiv, thank you very much.